Put on a Ike mini flip.
It's a little out of that. Good one on a frog.
Oh my gosh, how big his mouth is. To be a 4-pounder, if that thing had a gut, that's like a 5 or a 6. All right, everybody, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective tonight, guys. We've got a good show lined up for you guys. This is a topic. I'm gonna go over a topic tonight that the reason why I want to talk about it really is because it comes up on my feed on Facebook and all that every single time I open it up, and I'm sure it's the exact same thing for you guys. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But first off, I want to thank all of our sponsors that's helped us out the last several years. I know that the show has been kind of like limping along right now. We haven't been I guess fulfilling our duties as a show and to you guys, and it's just I'm going to explain it here in a little while. But anyways, I want to thank all our sponsors for all the help and all that they've done for us, and we're very grateful. First off, I want to thank Missile Baits. Super great company. John Cruz and Byron and Alex and all them guys are just phenomenal people, and they've helped us out a lot, and we're just very thankful for them. So make sure you go check them out. Also, you can go to oneobjectivebf.com. We got a lot of missile bait stuff in stock. You can go check all of them out as well. Also, I want to thank Amped Outdoors. I mean, everything we got from our bass boats to kayaks, even like little battery boxes and stuff like that we use for, the power goes out or any of that stuff. It's all powered by Amp. So make sure you go check them out. You can check them out also on our website as well. Very knowledgeable people. If you ever got a question about anything, they're easy to reach out to, and they can really push you in the right direction on what size battery you need and all that stuff. So just make sure you go check them out. Also, I want to thank Waterland Eyewear. Great company to work with. I have thoroughly enjoyed their bed fishers. All y'all know that's my favorite sunglasses. Even in our videos, all that stuff. Especially now we're getting to that time for bed fishing, hence the name bed fishers. The reason why I like them so much is because they wrap my face. I mean, they wrap it really good. They got a big lens, keeps the air coming out from the sides, but it also keeps the light from coming in when you're really trying to focus in on finding those fish out on the beds, whether shallow or deep. So, but also we'll have a link in the description here. You can save yourselves 15% by clicking that link. Help support the channel and help support a business as well. So, but anyways, make sure you go check them out. But let's kind of dive into what we got going on. It's been tough for me definitely for the last, I'm gonna say 2 or 3 weeks, 3 weeks definitely. I had a bad cold. I guess that's what it was. I don't think it was COVID or nothing. I don't know fevers or nothing, but it just it was hard for me to shake it. I'd start feeling a little bit better, and then the following weekend it hit me, and I've been out there fishing and probably shouldn't have, and it's been a struggle trying to get over it. I still sometimes will have a cough, and last night I ended up having it flare up pretty good on me and didn't get much sleep. So it was tough. So trying to get content out, all that stuff, it's just been a grind. And then we've also been really, really busy in the shop. We've got a lot of rigging jobs that are in the shop right now, from john boats to kayaks. We also got one of our team guys. He's coming up. He just joined the show right now. He's going to be coming up, and we're going to be rigging his kayak this week before he goes to the Bassmasters Classic, the kayak championship. So best of luck to him. Excited to see Bob, and it's always fun when we got our team guys or just any of our customers at the shop, but especially Bob and Robert and Craig and all of them when they come in and hang out. So excited to have you here, Bob. Also, I want to thank USA Kayak Fishing Magazine. If y'all haven't checked it out, it just came out with their first magazine, I think it was. We shared the link to it, but you can also go to USA Kayak Fishing Magazine on Facebook or their website and check out their article. It's a I won't say virtual. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but second. Yeah. Their second one they came out with. So, but anyway, you can go in there and check it out. Really great articles. He does a really good job on the illustrations and all that. And kudos to you on a great magazine. I really like it. So, But anyways, so we're gonna move all of our shows. I want y'all's opinion on this. Yeah, digital. Yeah, it's digital. we're gonna move all of our shows to Thursday night, and I like y'all's opinion to see if this is, you know, if this is the right thing to do on y'all's part. I mean, granted, these will still be going up on as a regular podcast on YouTube and iTunes and all that stuff. You can listen to them later, but Sunday nights are just really tough for some reason. It's just, I go out of town on Mondays, so it's like a rush getting things ready, and it's kind of like my last hurrah with the family before I can get ready to leave out of town. So I just want to make sure, you guys are good with it. I want to keep people rolling in, and I feel like Sunday nights are busy for everybody. So I feel like we'll get more views on a Thursday night. But like I say, the bad thing is Chris won't be able to help us. So Chris works a night shift job, and he works it all through the week, and it's really tough. He just can't help, So it sucks because I thoroughly enjoy having Chris, help run the show, and I don't have to mess with a lot of the buttons and all that stuff like I'm trying to mess with right now. But he did a really good job, and he still will be a part of One Objective. Like, he's gonna be in the fishing videos, and me and him are gonna be fishing some tournaments this year. Going to be fishing the Castaways Tournament Trail. It's a bass boat series. He's going to be fishing. We kind of finalized that today. He's going to be fishing with me on some of those. Hopefully all of them, but definitely a few of them. The first one's getting started. So he's going to be helping with those. Fishing with those. James is also fishing. We're going to have his video coming out here soon. James is going to be fishing. I not remember the name of the club, but he's going to be fishing a club series 2 down there where they fish the Chowan River, the Roanoke River, couple different lakes down there, whatever. But he's going to be fishing a few of those too. So we're going to have some tournament content coming out. This new video going to come out with James. It's a really good video. I think he's got some good catches on there and all that stuff. So, but make sure you go to One Objective Outdoors and One Objective Bass Fishing and subscribe to both YouTube channels. One Objective Outdoors is where all of our fishing content's coming out. So make sure you go there and check that out. So, but anyways, if you haven't, hit the like button, share this video right now. Let's get more people in here. Let's talk about the fuss. Let's talk about the fuss. I'm gonna get leaned back up in my chair here, and so we can get in these conversations about everything coming up. Steven said Thursday nighters coming up. Oh man, yeah, that might be a little tough. We'll see. We might have to change that up. I, for some reason, was thinking they were Wednesday nighters. Might have to do. I don't know, man. Thank you, Steven, for sharing that information. We'll figure it all out. We're going to be doing a show weekly now, so it might either be a Wednesday or a Thursday, depending on what's going on. So, but anyways, let's talk about the fuss. Let's see what everybody's opinion is. Don't feel like whatever you say is, like you're pushing somebody's buttons or whatever. I want everybody's opinion on the topics we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to try to get to all the people's comments the best I can. And like I said, I'm going to do the best I can to get everybody's comments. So don't get mad if I don't answer your questions or whatever. Ask it repeatedly and I'll get to it. But, so Bassmasters just had their 2 events. Also, hey, what's going on, Tony? How you doing, buddy? Also, MLF had their event on Toledo Bend before Bassmasters got down there, which we haven't been on here since all this has been going down. And I thought was crazy. They did not have no live footage. And it was for the first few days of that event. Like, they could have blew it out the water. It was the first big event and they didn't even have anything on there. But it was just crazy to me. So Bass, when they came in, like, they blew it out the water with Toledo Bend, and they blew it out the water with Lake Fork on views and all that stuff. And it was just, there's a lot of people fussing about, man, I still don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch people scoping and really worried about the viewership going down on this. But it was really, they had a lot of success with it. So I don't think it's going to hurt this whole live scoping thing. I don't know if it's going to hurt it too much with the viewership because people still love live scoping. Now, as a fan of the sport, I thoroughly enjoy watching these guys go in there and catch them on a frog. or flip a flooded bush, like Bugs Island, or, it's going to get up in the bushes down there, man. And we go around flipping jigs and Texas rigs and working spinner rates by them and stuff like that. That stuff is super cool and fun to watch on TV when they got the cameraman and he's panned in on that frog as it's working through the grass and boom, it comes up, hits it. Takes a lot of work for the cameraman to be able to stay focused on that bait. You know what I mean? And get that right shot for the viewers. So, but it's a lot of people are getting irritated every time I open up Facebook. Me and James has had this conversation for the last 2 weeks, and so I can tell you, I really wanted to get him on tonight and we could talk about it, but I know that he's got a lot going on with family stuff and stuff, everything going on with sports and stuff. So he wasn't able to get on here tonight and talk about it, but we are on the same track. I can tell you that. And it's crazy to me right now that they have a committee in Bass that's going through and evaluate. I think it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, but the fuss has gotten so bad about live scope. And then really, if you look at like Chris Aldane's video, which I did not, I don't know, man. I have a hard time with Chris Aldane stuff, and I'm not being shady about this or I guess really calling him out, but it's like 1 minute you can tell he's kind of like, I think this is crazy, but then somebody will talk about it and he's like, oh yeah, you gotta have it, and but then he, you know what I mean, like, I don't know. He was using it a lot more on Toledo Bend, and he was using it a lot more on Fort, definitely trying to, catch in big bags. But he went on and did a video, and he was just kind of going over everybody's setup, everybody's rigs, and how much they got in it, and this and that. And I almost feel like it was a shot at live scoping. That's what I feel like. I feel like it was a shot at it. Now, granted, I know that they are 100% for the sport, and they're trying to make it better, and they want to see the sport continue to grow and continue to, just taking care of the fish in general, and worried about these fish that are getting caught out deep or that normally wouldn't get caught, that would be safe in their areas, and, stuff that we never really mess with, or fish that we never really mess with. But on the other hand, I mean, this live scope, man, we're really figuring out what these fish do. There's a lot of fish out there that just roam around. And I can tell you, I've really started learning a lot with live scope on something like, have I caught a lot of fish? No, but I'm messing with them. I'm seeing what's down there. I'm seeing these brush piles, and brush piles. If always, people always have brush piles and they hide in these brush piles, but it's crazy to me at how many fish just roam around. I mean, out there in 30 foot of water, they're in, 10 foot, just kind of roaming. There ain't even nothing around. You don't even see no bait fish. You just kind of pan through and keep panning back and forth. Boom, there's 2 of them swimming around. You pluck a little minnow down there and boom, you catch one. And you're like, holy crap. That's what happened in the last video. I mean, I was right there at the state park. I was just kind of working my way over to the dock. I was going to work around the no wake zone area and then get on out of there. And as I'm panning through, there's 2 swimming. I'm like, well, I'll drop it down there and see what happens, And boom, caught one. It was right at close to 4 pounds. It's just crazy how they just out there roaming around. You think they would be kind of following, like, you think they'd be following the contour lines or kind of just working the way around the bottom and getting, I mean, it's just crazy out in the middle of nowhere, just kind of roaming around. So, but we're learning a lot about it. But, Chris Aldane's video, I mean, some of these guys, we're talking about spending $50,000 just in electronics. So you're on top of got let's say a Ranger, for instance. You got a Ranger L or whatever they call it, the 521. I mean, you're looking at $97,000, okay, on top of another $150,000. You look at a Icon boat that is over 100 and some thousand, 108, I think, is maybe the cheapest I've seen with nothing on it. Add another 50,000. I mean, it's to the point though where you got like some of these rookies that are coming in. They've been in that position and they can, had the ability to get this kind of stuff, whether the backing or they've won some money or they've worked hard to get to where they're at. But like what I'm looking at is people like my son coming into it. Okay. And let's see, he starts fishing and he's trying to get into the sport, but yet when he goes in and he sees, gosh dang, man, Dad, I mean, for me to compete in the opens, I mean, I got to spend $140,000 in a bass boat, to be able to have the equipment that I'm going to need to compete have the same equipment that all these top guys have got. Me personally, I don't think you need it. I mean, it's good to have for sure. I mean, I see guys at Mountain Lake that are whipping butts too that don't have live scope. You know, it just depends on that time of the season, what they're good at, and if they can get those fish in a boat, you know. But these pros, man, they're with it so much, and like Dustin Connell and Jacob Wheeler and all them guys are on that graph all the time, all through the year. They're never let off, you know. So, but you know, I just feel like we're getting into a spot where when's enough, you know, like I mean, these guys are putting live transducers on the right and left side of the boat. You know, then you got your transducer up front on your trolling motor that's regular forward facing, and then you got perspective mode. I mean, so right there, and then you can put another one in the back that's just down. So I mean, you're getting a full Monty there on top of all your other, you know, down scan and side scan stuff. I mean, it's a lot of transducers and technology going into to me. It's just amazing how they don't even get to interference. Okay, me and James have been working on his boat and trying to figure it out because we got the Garmin's up top, and then on top of our mount, and then we got the Lowrances on the bottom, and he got the active target, so he can run that in perspective. So our idea is to run perspective and live scope back and forth. That way you can, you know, when you do, the thing about live scope is when you look out there, and I'm getting off track here, but I just, you know, guys that are kind of new to it, when you're panning back and forth with live scope, you got to go back and forth till you really zone in that spot, you know, where you really get that good return, that real good glow. And with the perspective on as well, it helps you zero that in even better to make that more accurate cast. Because I mean, if you go watch Russell Marine's video about live scope and how far, like, you can see it in the screen, but how far you could be off throwing, you know. So but yeah, you know, we're getting to an age where it's just so much technology, and I'm starting to see it into the kayaking side as well. I mean, you know, I can understand the double graphs. I mean, me and James run double graphs. We run 360 and we run live scope. I didn't like the 360 too much. We took that off, got rid of it, sold it, and just ran live scope. I don't use a lot of mapping, so I didn't really need two graphs, you know, because once you kind of, I mean, I'll pinpoint stuff like this point here, or this cut, blah, blah, blah. Or if you got bedding fish, you can mark them. But I don't need it to sit right on a spot, because once you kind of find out where it's at, then you can you're looking at it the whole time with live scope. So, but you know, the kayaking side's getting this way too. I mean, we're getting kayaks that are in the $20,000 range competing, you know, and I mean, Drew Greger and them don't have them kind of kayaks. I can tell you that. And they're competing and they're whooping butt. And you don't have to have that. It's just going to that, you know, it's going to be a point where it is out there, and all these guys are turning kayaks, fishing deep, catching these fish that aren't being caught, you know, up on the bank and all that. And they're going to be in areas where it ain't going to be so comfortable because of boat traffic and this and that. And they're going to be out there trying to, you know, catch these fish. So let me, before I go much further, let me go into some of these posts we got here. I see Bob's posted something. Let's see. He says, tough topic. One school of thought is anglers lose their advantage of time on the water. The other school, technology is always evolving in some way. So forward facing is just another one of those examples. It's not as entertaining to watch on TV, and I don't have forward facing, but we'll get it. Bass, Hobie, KF need to meter how it's used, just like in the boat series. Maybe just control the number of transducers. That's where I'm going to go at tonight with this. I think they're going to have to control it with transducers and maybe screens. You know, they might have to cut down on screens. I don't know. You know, we'll have to get into that. Let's see. Put that on a kayak. Yeah. I feel the gripers. What do you say? I feel the gripers are those that can't afford it or don't understand it. 100%. And I've said that. And I think a lot of that is and I'm not cutting on nobody about what they can afford and can't afford. I understand, especially now times are tight. But it is a lot of that. There's a lot of guys that just refuse to use it, like he said, because I think they don't think they'll be able to understand it. You know, I don't think they think they're going to hook this up and not be able to go out there and figure it out. Because I mean, and some of these systems are kind of, you know, I'm not good with Humminbird. There's guys that are whizzes with them. I'm not good with Humminbird. I cannot figure it out. I don't work with them enough, you know. Lowrance, Garmin, totally get it. Garmin, I like it because I love the adjustments and how to fine tune that live scope. And I mean, I can get it tuned in really, really good. So, I don't know what you can do with Humminbird. I like to say, I'm going to step away from Humminbird. I'm not going to bash them. I just don't know enough about them to say anything. You know what I mean? I have seen their live imaging, and from the like pro stuff and all that, I don't like it as much as what it looks like, but I'm not saying it's bad. I think Garmin seems a little clearer to me. That's my opinion, but he's like, yeah, Bob says, didn't even think about the number of graphs. So, you know, Brian Schmidt and all them, I mean, he had 4 graphs at his console. And then he had another 3 up front, I think it was. But he was only using the 4 for practice. So he had each one a transducer, and then he had the other 2 was, you know, probably his regular mapping, side imaging, and then also his GPS. So, but I just think it's getting kind of crazy. I think we need to step away from that. You know, we already limited down to they've limited down to the practice to 3 days. Okay. Actually 2.5 days really. But I think they need to limit it down to that. I noticed on Chris Aldane's video, which I did like seeing, was Davey Height was in there measuring the height from the seat to the top of the graph, it looked like. And then from side to side, just to see. I mean, man, you think about it, you start getting all these big graphs up there, and now you got obstruction of view. And I've already been reading articles where these guys have been around side imaging, just mapping, staring at their graphs and watching these contours on their Navionics, and have run into the back. I was one to run into the back end of a guy's boat. They've run into people's docks. You know, I've seen read one article where a dude ran right through where people were just swimming, and like they had a pontoon boat anchored in a cove. Guys out there just putting along, paying attention to his graphs, and luckily didn't kill nobody, but ran right through a whole pack of people that were swimming right there. I mean, come on, man. I mean, we can't have these while we're driving down the road. Obstruction, you know what I mean? I mean, gosh dang. You see cars swerving all the time just trying to send a simple text. I mean, can you imagine our attention span? We get engrossed in something, especially fishermen. You get engrossed and you're looking like, man, look at all them rock piles. And then you're really trying to dig in. You're really trying to dig in to see if there's fish sitting on it. You know, so now we got to start being a little bit careful with that. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with all that. You know, I know they got the organization to work on it. They're trying to see, you know, how it's impacting the fishing, how it's, you know, just the amount of money it's being spent into these graph setups and all that stuff. So I think something needs to change. I don't think the answer is taking away live scope. It's not the answer. I listened to a good podcast show. This was before they went to Toledo Bend with Dave Mercer and Greg Hackney. And Greg Hackney is down to earth dude. I've had the opportunity to talk to Greg Hackney a couple times. Straight shooter. You know what I mean? Like he loves the sport. He's made a good living at the sport. He's made a good living flipping jigs at trees and grass and all that stuff. And he went on there, and Dave Mercer, I guess, was trying to really pry into him and what his thoughts were on it. And he had a good answer. He needs to get better with it. He needs to use it more. But I never really heard him complaining about the scopers coming in, you know, all the rookies that came into Elite Series. And I never really heard him complain about them guys, you know, oh, the only reason they made it is because they're scopers. No, he talked about they have a talent. They have an ability to be able to read them graphs and break it down better than most, because they're, you know, these younger generations, man. I mean, they're a lot more technically advanced than what we were, you know, and we're still trying to just learn this stuff. I mean, heck, my son sometimes shows me how to use stuff on my phone, even my daughter. And I like to think I'm pretty tech savvy when it comes to some of that stuff. So, but yeah, so I mean, but you know, there's another thing I want to hit on, because, you know, we're getting kind of into live scoping, and we're talking about, you know, this technology and these guys out there fishing for fish that normally wouldn't call it, and this and that. So I want to go back to Aaron Martens, one of the best bass fishers when it came to 2D sonar. But if you watch, he stayed. Granted, I know live was different. They didn't have live when Aaron Martens was. Maybe they did. I don't know, but it wasn't as popular as it is now with live, and you watched Aaron Martin sit up front on 2D sonar and drop shots down on these fish. He fished shallow too. I mean, that dude was all around, could fish anywhere. But nothing was said. That was a good topic that James brought up when we was talking about this. He goes, nothing was said about Aaron Martin's out there fishing for these fish out deep. Nothing said when they were up north fishing for these fish out deep using 2D. I know live scope, you're looking further ahead. So you can't, you're not spooking fish as much. You can actually see them interact as 2D. I don't know if you guys got much experience with it. When you come up on a fish, it would be a flat line. It just kind of see there, and then you could drop your drop shot down, and you would see it on the actual, I call it the light, what was going on at the moment, and come down, and you just start seeing this line come up. And granted, you still got this line going across your screen, so you got your drop shot weight and your worm or whatever, and you can still see those two bars coming across, and all of a sudden you start seeing the fish coming up, and then you feel it. I know it's not live imaging, but that's what Aaron Martins and Edwin Evers and all them guys were doing back then before this came out. I couldn't imagine what Aaron Martins would be like if he was around now fishing with live scope. I bet you'd be one hard dude to beat. I feel it in my bones. He'd give these rookies a run for their money because he's all about it, man. Aaron Martins liked that stuff. He was very technical, and I think he'd be good. But nobody was saying anything about that. But let me go into comments real quick. Humminbird 360 Mega is awesome when tweaked properly. Yes, it is. The problem I had with it was it just kept losing signal, or me and James both. And the thing is, I hate it because I had to be sitting still to get that proper image. If I want to go and kind of just keep trolling up the bank and looking at stuff, I just didn't like I had to sit still for that image to come in right. He says, I plan 2 on my yak. Brackets, like the drag strap, would solve it all. I plan to hit the lottery, then I'll start fishing the opens. That's right, Bob. That's what I'm saying. We're all going to room together. We're all going to do this together. That was a good podcast. I think, was you talking about Dave Mercer and Greg Hackney? I see. Steven said perspective on bedding fish and flats is a great search tool for bedding bass and grass. Be interesting if they had choose between that and it forward facing if it was only got to one transducer. I think that right there, I feel like that's where it's going to go. Now you got to be careful because because some of these guys like to run a 360 and live scope. So you got to be careful. And then you got regular transducers. So they're going to really have to word this right to make it to where you can at least have 3 transducers, but you can only have one actual live transducer, I guess. And I think that's how you're going to have to do that. But but on the spawning side, yes, I was actually watching a few videos today with perspective, and we're going to have a guest come on. I already got things set up. I just got to get the date when I'm going to do it. It's Garmin Guru. He's got some really good videos if you want to go out there and just kind of watch some of his setups, and he does logging and all that stuff too. He's got a little bit of a mix of everything on his YouTube, but he's got some really good stuff on there about setups and how it works and adjustments and all that stuff. So, but he was talking about, catching fish off beds or down like James is at where you got cypress trees and all that. You got all these knees on these cypress trees and you're trying to throw crankbaits out. Now you can pretty much pinpoint where they're at on those. Now it's not guaranteed they're going to bite every time. I don't know how, me learning with this whole strolling thing or whatever, mid strolling. I can't tell you how many fish I've put this thing on top of that'll come up to it and look at it and go back down, or they run off. They take off down to the bottom. I think I've seen it, or I don't know if the transducer signal messes them up or something. Each fish is different. Each fish has got their own characteristic. Let's see. What did he say here? Bob said he did say if it gets banned, they're going to have a harder time than the elite guys that grew up without it. Exactly. I think those guys will have a tough time. The guy that just won, was his name Trey, right? Let's see. Trey McKinney. That guy's he's well-rounded. I've seen some of his videos. I've seen him up here catching them shallow. I've seen him. He's well-rounded. Ben Milliken. I think is well rounded, but if you watch a lot of his videos, he uses forward facing a lot. I'm not saying that he would do terrible without it. I'm just saying he uses it a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm not. I don't know. He might do real well, but he's a good fisherman. So I think these young guys will be able to adapt. I just think it would take them a little bit longer, but they'll get to it. You know what I mean? They'll get it. But you look at Jason Christie, for instance. He's one of my favorite fishermen because I love throwing a spinnerbait and he throws it a lot and all that stuff. So, but he can go out and catch them shallow. But he's been using it for a long time, using Garmin. But I don't think he's as good as like Trey and Ben and all these other rookies that are coming in. But he's pretty good with it too. But what really disappointed me with all this, with Toledo Bend and Fork, okay. For one, Mike Iaconelli has always been one of my favorite pros. I mean, growing up, that was my guy. That's who I wanted to. When I was watching turn, I wanted to see him win. Like when you watch NASCAR, if you watch NASCAR and you got, I was a Dale Jr. fan, and I was when Classic Time was on, and I'm watching it that night when it was on, and Mike Iaconelli had a chance, man. Like my heart was pumping, like I was watching a race. I really wanted to see that guy win. And I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's talking about, forward facing sonar, and he's talking about setups, and he's talking about it. But then when he comes up there, and them guys, I feel bad. Some of them guys were going out catching 20, 25 pounds and thought they had the lead or had a chance at having the lead on day one. And they come in and had their feelings hurt that they didn't even make the top 30. It's just crazy. But he came in, and I think he had a very bad taste in his mouth. I can't remember if it was day one or day two, and he went on there and basically was saying that he ain't going to use it, or it was along the lines of he just did not like the forward facing sonar stuff. So a lot of these guys has been doing a lot of forward facing video. This is where I'm going to get at right here. This is the point. This is the stuff that's irritating with forward facing sonar and all the fuss right now. Is everybody's using it. I'm doing a video on it right now. But this is the only time I'm going to do this, because I see a lot of guys doing a lot of videos on it, is they're using it to get views, to talk about the drama, okay? That's where I get irritated. And like I say, am I being hypocritical? Because I'm doing it right now. But this is the only video you're going to really catch out of me, because honestly, I like using it. I love to catch fish. I love it. No matter which way I'm doing it, I love to catch fish. So if I'm going to do that, or if I need to go up on the bank, throw a chatterbait or a crankbait or whatever, it doesn't matter. I just like having that tool there. If I can't get them there, I can go out deep and try to catch them. And it's just another technique I want to learn. But what I'm getting at is I just have a hard time with the fact that a lot of these guys, we've watched a lot of videos on how to use forward facing sonar, just get the brakes beat off of them. Like, they talk like, they know so much about it, or they understand it or whatever. And then they come in, and half of them was not even using it. A lot of them knew that this is where this tournament was going with Toledo Bend and that. And I give it to Greg Hackney and Jason Christie and all them guys, because they stayed shallow. That was their game plan. And they stayed shallow. And that's what they stuck with. And once they made their bed, they laid in it, I respect that. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, dude, like this is, need to back up a little bit and maybe take a swing at this. But, but then I'm like, well, maybe they're just not comfortable with it. They don't understand it as good as the videos that we've seen come out. It really is easy to go in there and watch a bunch of videos and then turn around and act like you know everything about it. I can tell you right now, you ain't seen me hardly do anything with videos, posting setups and all this. I might one day go through and show my setup. I think I got it pretty clear, and I get a lot of questions about it. But to tell you how to use it, I'm not there yet. So when I look at these tournaments, and I'm like, man, I watched all these guys. I watched all their videos on how to use this stuff and how to be better with it. And a lot of them didn't even use it in these events. Even after day one, when they're getting their butt whooped. Some did. Some went out there. But it was just kind of crazy to me. I don't know. It just was it was really a tough pill to swallow watching this go down like that. Bob Rixey says, but he has decades of experience. Brian Weaver, Randy Blockett. Yeah, he does not like it. He does not like it. And that's going back. And I like some of Randy's videos. I think he reaches some good points on a lot of his videos, but he's got a lot of subscribers, or he's got a lot of attention just for the forward facing bashing stuff, So I don't know. A lot of people's got a lot of subscribers off of forward facing sonar bashing, or why it should be there, why it should be banned, all that stuff. And that irritates me more than anything. I think I just hate opening my Facebook up and seeing forward facing sonar crap. It really is annoying. But what's Tony got to say? He says maybe they ought to do it like that with the cone's coat the fish has to be hooked legally in the mouth, and it has to be proven that the angler is not, now that I'm actually really surprised that they have not gone to that yet, because that's very similar to bed fishing, right? I mean, you're looking at them, and that's the next point I want to get at here. So we're talking about all this live scoping. We're talking about, taking care of the resources. And I think bass and all of them need to really step back and evaluate what they are doing with their scheduling right now. And I know the weather's weird, man. The weather's been weird for the last 5 years with the spawn, with the weather, just the rain we've had, the warming trends. I mean, it's been a little jacked up. Whether it's global warming, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm not going to get into those politics, but it's been weird. Okay. So I do understand that it's hard to get these tournaments around certain dates and, try to avoid the spawner. But if you look at a lot of their schedule and right off the bat, even listen to a lot of podcasts of these pros talking about the schedule, is all based around pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn. Look, when I go down in Texas, spawn, they're getting ready to spawn. It's right there, or they already are, which they were. Some of them already were. Now they go into Florida. Granted, that'll definitely be a post-spawn event. Okay. Maybe some will still be on beds. I don't know. I'm not big in Florida. I don't know much about Florida fishing. I do know that, January, February, March, stuff like that. You can get them on beds and stuff. But my biggest thing with it is you're basing a lot of these tournaments around the spawn. Well, the guys live scope are still gonna go out there. They can get the ones that are pre-spawn and post-spawn. You know what I mean? Or ones, or the ones you're gonna move in. This is where I get irritated. For instance, why are we having tournaments during the spawn? I like catching fish off the bed. It's fun to me. I like taking the kids, letting them catch fish off the beds. My problem is catching fish off the beds, throwing a live one, and then running it away in. Will I do it if I'm fishing a tournament? Yes, I'll do it. I do have kind of a bad conscience about it, because I'm sitting here thinking we need to preserve the resource. And, they're like, it's only a few here and there. Look how many fish are in the lake that spawn. You're correct. But now that we're getting to perspective mode, where you can see those beds down there in that 5-6 foot, depending on how clear your lake is and where they're spawning at, now we're going to be messing with those fish, and those fish are going to be getting caught as well during the spawn. There's a big event that comes here to Stone Mountain Lake, Big Bass Tour. I fished it in the fall. Absolutely loved it. It was a fun time. Didn't do that well, but I had fun time. But I hate when they come here in the spring, because they come here every year in April. I think it's like second week, third week, April, something like that, when the fish should be spawning. And there is 700 and some boats out here running around trying to catch fish off beds, or, close to spawning, or, whatever. But a lot of times when fish are on beds. So that's my biggest problem with this is we want to take care of the fisheries, but yet I think almost, instead of worrying about the transducer deal and fighting about the transducer deal so much in the live scope, is why not fight and say there's no tournaments during the spawn wherever you're at in the region. So for instance, from that lake, I think if they did no tournaments in April, Smith, Bugs, whatever, wherever you're at, let them get a good spawn going on. I'm not saying you can't go fishing. I'm just saying no tournament. And let's do that for a couple years. Just see where we're at. Let's just see where this thing goes. Bugs right now is people are saying it's on an uprise. It's on an uptick, but I don't know. It's a lot of little fish being caught down there. I mean, some of them guys are hammers and they'll still catch them. You know what I mean? But I think that if we said, all right, we're not going to do a tournament, if he's if these let's see, where you got to you got to sign up to have a tournament at this ramp. You got to, and the Chamber of Commerce don't allow these big events to come in, but I know it's money. Got to get the money. I get it. That's what makes the world go round. But why not have a tournament in April, or if you're up north in June or something like that? You know what I mean? Give them, or at least 2 weeks, no tournaments for the next 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's hard to I got this vision in my head, but I don't know how you could actually implement it. Each state's going to have to be different. And I think the fisheries will get so much better because you pull a fish off a bed instantly, perch or carp are moving in to eat them. Okay. Or that female's getting ready to lay eggs and you catch it and you put it in the live well. What happens if some of them come out, whatever, or she gets beat up real bad and the stress of it, all that kills her. These big fish, they stress out easy, man. And sometimes it's hard to get them back. And I just think I think that is tough on them. And then you're taking them all the way down to the other end of the lake and putting them back in the water. Now they got to go find another man. You know what I mean? You're taking them away from her man or her home. And now you're taking them down the lake. Or you're taking the man away from his home where he was protecting. You're taking him down the lake. He ain't going to swim all the way back up there. So not in time to protect his bed anyways. So I don't know. I think we need to focus more on these tournaments that are during April or during the spawn and either move them back or forward and just not have a tournament. Then, I mean, honestly, the kayaking industry right now has really got it going on with the catch and release. I know MLF does too. It's hard to regulate that kind of stuff in a small club tournament, though, not unless you guarantee you got two different people in the boat and it's boater and non-boater, to do it like MLF style. Team tournament, you really can't. It sets up so much room for cheating. Now they could do it, like we're going to do a tournament, but it's measuring boards. You know what I mean? And they got to do it the kayak way, and they got to use Tourney X and all that stuff. I don't think you'll ever be able to push that in the bass boat side. I don't know. But I think it's a great idea to do it that way. That way you can go ahead and put them back and be good. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. This one says, I don't think any tournament organization will put restrictions on bed fishing. It will have to be your fishing game for every state that will end up making these rules. That's just, and you're right. I think 100%. That's what's going to have to happen. It's going to have to be a state regulated thing, not a tournament director deal. It's going to have to be state regulated. It's hey, you can't, if I catch a fish in your live well, sorry, man, if I catch a fish in your live well, that's a ticket. You look at Texas, man, I look, man, they got it going on with their system on growing these big fish and all that stuff. And if you can go in there and watch the game warden show. I think it's on Discovery or something like that, man. They don't cut these people no breaks sometimes when they got a fish that's just undersized or oversized out of that slot limit or whatever. Sorry if y'all hear my dog barking. I don't think kids playing with her, but Texas got it going on. And I think that's what's going to have to happen here. They're going to get strict on it. They're going to have to say, hey, like, you better not have no fish in your live well in April. That's a big fine. That's a big time fine. What's the other one? Let's see. It would surprise me to see tournaments go to CPR format to protect these fisheries. Now, that's just me shooting off at the mouth. I don't think that would happen. I think if they tried it, they'd like it. You know what I mean? Because it's fun. It really is. I enjoy that side of the kayak fishing stuff. I love bass boat tournaments, but I do enjoy that side of the kayaking stuff too, because it makes it so close. Sorry, I'm still getting over this cold. But what did he say? What does Bob say? Headwaters is like that. Illegal to have fish in the boat. Not sure how many other lakes are like that in Florida. So is that just during the spawn, or is that entirely like you can't have a fish in a boat? I'd like to know that. But yeah, I think we just need to do something. I think we need to focus more on how to manage the habitat. Make things better all year. Yeah, Bob said all year. I think we need to learn to manage the habitat. I think all states need to implement Texas in the share lunker program. Man, big. I just couldn't imagine. Could you imagine? Let's say up north, they already got big smallmouth. Let's say they did a share lunker program that if you catch anything 7 pounds, I don't know, 6, 7 pounds, they can do a share lunker program. They only take so many a year, and they breed those fish, and they get to eggs, and they grow those a little bit, and then they go start releasing them because they got that gene. They got that gene to be a big fish, So I think that I know it's probably expensive. Texas is. I didn't tell how much money they got in it, but I mean, you look at Fork. I mean, look at, oh man, what's the other lake down there in Texas that was at Ivy, OH Ivy or something like that. Look at that, man. I mean, that lake is phenomenal. I mean, granted, it's getting a lot of pressure now because everybody knows the fish are so big down there, but yeah, it's just, I think we need to implement some stuff like that instead of focusing so much on, this forward facing sonar thing. Let's do our part and try to get these fisheries back in shape, cleaner waters, all that stuff. Hold on a second. But yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to get cleaner waters. We need to worry about cleaning up our lakes and just getting better fisheries. And then let's kind of dive into the forward facing sonar stuff. And after the research has been out there for several years, I think these fish are going to get used to it. I think some of them are getting harder to catch, After a while, they're going to get used to that pinging. And they're like, oh, I'm out of here. But, yeah, I just think time will tell how forward-facing sonar is going to affect fishing, affect the fish. And, there's people out there, there's studies that it's doing this to them, it's doing this to them. I have not seen hard proven facts. That's just people shooting off at the mouth and just trying to prove a point. Maybe even lying to make it seem like their point is valid. I don't know. Yeah. St. Lawrence. What do you say? St. Lawrence. You can't smallmouth fish till June. Yeah. I mean, and look at that fishery, man. I mean, century belts with smallmouth, so, slot, not spot. Yeah. Hey, Jason Hensley said the same people that studied snakeheads. Yeah, that was a big thing around here, man. Like, I mean, you thought that the world was about to end when these snakeheads came in and like they were going to eat all the fish up, and every fishery is going to be garbage now. And come find out, I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, people catch them to eat them; they're good to eat, but like, they're finding largemouth with snakeheads in them. They're eating the babies. So, I mean, it's just adding food to the ecosystem there. And it doesn't seem like it impacted the fishing any on the Potomac River. Now, what impacted the fishing on the Potomac River is the pollution around the Potomac River. That's what's impacted that. I mean, you look at some of these other lakes. I mean, there's spots in the James River here around Big Island and all that. I mean, the fishing sucks, or the fish you catch are got sores all over them. And I mean, you look right up the road, there's a paper mill dumping nasty water all the time. I mean, not directly into the river, but eventually it gets there. So I think that's the stuff we need to work on. Let's see. What's this one say? Steve Kennedy worked with Georgia DNR prior to getting into pro fishing, said forward facing sonar will have little to no impact on bass population on the major lakes. Yeah, I don't think it will. I don't think there's no way, if you're fanning around, all of a sudden fish start floating because the echo stuff messed them up and they're running into stuff and, like something stupid, yeah, it'd be a different story. But like, I don't see you're going to hurt anything. Maybe it'll stress them out. It might make the pressure a little tougher. When you're out there, it might be harder to catch them out deeper after a while, So then you're going to have to be versatile, and you're going to have to fish shallow and deep. You might have to have two things in your plan there, or running and gunning more. I don't know. What do you say? I caught 35-inch snakehead and backed it up with a 20-inch largemouth. Yeah, I mean they live together. That's just how it's going to be with those fish. So it's going to have and it's too early to tell with scientific data on what the impact is, because Panoptix was around for many years, and then it came into what they called regular, just live scope, or active, not active target, but I can't remember what it is now. But I remember when I went out with Mark Daniels Jr. for the Classic at Hartwell, and he brought me up front. He was like, man, check this out. And he's skipping under a dock, and you could see the spotted bass there, and it was just a blob. It wasn't real good. It wasn't like super clear, but it was a blob going down. And I'm like, holy crap, that's insane. And I come home and look at the price. I'm like, I'll never be able to afford that. I'll never get that. Now here I am. I got it. But that's been around for many years, and no one was talking about it. No one was saying anything. Jason Christie was using it. Nobody's really saying anything about it. But now everybody's getting it. These younger people are coming in the elites and all that, and whooping these butts, man. Now all of a sudden it's a big thing. Now I think what is making, what's making the big deal about it is how much they got on the boat. I mean, when they're getting almost $50,000 upwards, a little over $50,000 in electronics on their boats, I mean, it's getting kind of crazy, in my opinion. I think it's getting a little too crazy. But no one's saying anything about the AquaView stuff. I mean, some of these pros are using the AquaView. They'll put it down on a brush pile and see what's down there. Do you really need to do it anymore? I don't think so. I mean, now that you got LiveScope, what's the point of taking the time to pull that stuff out? I mean, it'd just be cool to see. But now you got LiveScope. You can actually just watch them right there and just, okay, Marquette, going to the next one. Marquette, going to the next one. Let's see. Well, the 22-inch graphs on the bow. I mean, the 22-inch graphs on the bow aren't helping. No, I think, is it cool? Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I like LiveScope. And so I would love to have one of those big graphs up front. I got a 12 up there, and I can see it pretty clearly. Like, do I need a 22? No, absolutely not. Would I like to have it? Yeah, it'd be easier on my eyes. But I do think it's getting crazy. I mean, you're getting into a $4,000 head unit, and it just mirrors. That's all it does. It just mirrors. When are these electronics going to eventually? They'll never come down. They're constantly going to keep going, up in price, and because we're stupid, we're all going to keep paying for it. But look what you can go buy a big screen 85-inch big screen TV for at Walmart right now. I mean, you get what, $600-700. I know there's a lot more technology into some of that stuff. They're trying to pack it into something real small, but look what you can do with one of these. Some of these phones, can get up to $1,500 depending on how new you go and what size you get and all that stuff. But look what you can do with these and the videos you can watch, and you can mirror the screen off of your graph with it. I mean, this is a lot more compact than what a graph is, like, when is the technology going to get to the point where, okay, now we should be able to make a 7-inch graph for $200 or a 9-inch graph for $200? They just keep going up too. I mean, now you're getting 9-inch graphs in the, $1,200-1,300 range. It's just getting kind of, I don't know. I know technology expensive. They got patents. They got people that own the technology they got to pay for. I don't know. I'm rambling on here now, I feel like, but I'm like, when it comes to this forward-facing sonar thing, I'm about it. I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. But I think too much can be overkill. You know what I mean? I don't think we need to have. Do I like having the two transducers up front where I can have perspective and regular forward-facing? Absolutely. I think that helps you key in a little bit better on where you're going to cast and all that stuff. I do like that part. On the elite side, I think I don't know how it's going to go. I know there's going to be changes next year. That's not no one telling me anything. I'm just from what I'm hearing and in the information they're collecting at each tournament. And Davey Height did a video the other day wanting everybody's opinion on it. So it's in everybody's head. They're worried about viewership. They're worried about what this is going to take the sport to. It's in their head. They're looking at the future, which is great for bass. They're not looking at, all right, well, here we are right now, let's do it. They're looking into the future and what this could become. So kudos. Sorry, guys. Kudos to them for putting in the work and the time on that, for sure. Let's see. It says I got my 12 on a pole, so I don't look down all the time. Yeah, I've actually thought about that too. I like those ones. I think Greg Hackney and him actually advertise it where you can slide it up and down. You can slide it down, run it down the lake, slide it up when you get where you want to fish at. Bob Brisky says, "Don't hate them for it, but maybe meter. Don't hate them for it, but meter how big and how many." Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to a change there. I'm gonna fish with that new Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. It's cool. Like, you know what I mean? As a tech junkie, I'm not gonna say I'm a totally tech junkie, but I like technology, man. I think it's pretty cool. But for like somebody to go out there and just for fun, I think that is cool. But like for professionalism and in the sport, I think that's stupid. Absolutely stupid. And I think that's one thing there was one of them out there wearing I think it was the Google goggles, which are a little bit small, look more like sunglasses. I think they're going to step in on that stuff. I think that stuff just needs to go. Get away from that. Let's get back to our roots of fishing a little bit. You know what I mean? The technology is fine to still have there, but let's get back to our roots a little bit here. How about those new AI sunglasses to mirror? Yeah, that's definitely crazy. Definitely crazy. If them shallow guys were actually catching them, then they wouldn't have been showing them guys out deep. They've been showing us either staring at the screens. Yeah, it's and you know what's crazy, man? Like John Cox, me and Jason and James were all talking back and forth watching this and not getting nothing done through the day, just watching this. And John Cox is on there talking about, he's having a stellar day. I can't remember what his weight was, but he was having a good day. And so was Drew Benton and them having a great day, catching fish the way they like to catch them on beds or flipping grass and all that stuff, just up there shallow. I mean, they were catching them. And they felt like they had a good chance at making a top cut. And by day one, I mean, John Cox said, "I'm going to be really upset if I'm having to drive home Saturday or Friday. Was it Friday? And not fishing this weekend." And he came in, and when they opened their phones up when they got back, and like everybody's jaw dropped. I mean, look, the top 10, all top 10 had century belts. This is crazy. Most time it ain't like 2 or 3. Most time it's a winner. But the whole top 10 made century belts. Could you imagine going out catching 25 pounds, 26, 27 pounds, and then you come in and you're not even close? Man, I mean, you put it all on the line, and that's what you call it. And then these guys come in with this crazy amount of weight. It's just nuts, man. But let's see. What's Bob say? Jason Hensley, God help us all when you start using it, brother. We got to screw you. Yeah, Jason's a hammer man without it. So we don't need him getting it. Yeah, Jason, you don't need it. You don't need to look at them. But Jason, I think we do need to take the boat up there to one of your lakes and just run around and see what we can see and catch with it. I think it'd be fun for sure. But yeah, so I mean that's where I'm at with Ford Face Sonar. Okay, what's my opinion? I stated earlier. That's what I want to talk about. My opinion is I like it. I think it's great technology. I think it's fun. I think it's a great learning tool to see how fish act during weather conditions, during certain presentations you bring by them. It's crazy how, like drop shotting wise, I used to have 2 drop shots on my boat because sometimes they'd hit that morning dawn, and I put it down on the next group of fish and they wouldn't even touch it, and I put a green pumpkin and it'd eat it. Like you do that with a bedding fish. Sometimes you can put a missile-based destroyer in there in candy grass and they'll murder it. Other times they're like, "Ooh, get that out of here. I'm swimming away for a little bit." And you put a white on, throw it over there, and they destroy it. Like it's just crazy how each fish has got their own different personality. And that's what we learn from LiveScope. Like there's fish everywhere. You'll get into a spot and you're like, "Man, this place sucks. I don't see nothing moving. I don't see no bait fish." Then take out LiveScope and you look around and you're like, "Holy crap. There they are. There's a bait fish over there." But I've gone in pockets before, and I mean, I started at the beginning, and I mean, I went all around and not seen no bait fish. So some pockets don't have them, or they might just be sucked to the bottom. And that's the other thing that I learned on this charity event that we did, which I didn't get the chance to talk about. I'm not going to be on here much longer, but that charity event that we fished for Rick Tilley, was I seen them up to about 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, I never seen another fish on that thing. Every once in a while, you'd see them moving across the bottom. You at that point, you don't know if it's carp or if it's catfish or whatever. And I didn't see no bait fish. But then every so often, you would see the bait fish come up off the bottom, and you see a fish shooting through them. When that sun, it was a bluebird sky. When that sun got high, it's like everything pushed to the bottom. Before forward facing sonar, you go fishing all day, and they're like, man, I caught them up till 9, 10 o'clock. I don't know what happened, and I think that's what happens. They pull to the bottom. They get a little more lethargic. They ain't moving. I don't know what it is. We're still learning these fish. You know what I mean? Their brains are like this. Ours is like this. And they still outsmart us sometimes. It's just crazy. But I think it's a great tool. I just don't want it to be abused or overused. And take the fun out of watching professional fishing. But I understand they're professionals. That's what they do for a living. That's just like a mechanic with tools. You know what I mean? I when I was doing mechanic work, I wanted some of the best tools. I wanted some of the stuff that's going to make my job easier to get a job done. So, I get that on their side. They're trying to make money. But in another point, I'm looking at some of these guys, it's costing $100,000 a year to fish this event. To fish these events. That's just with entry fees and traveling expenses, not truck payments, boat payments, and technology expenses and tackle and all that stuff. Some of these guys, yes, they do get tackle. Some of these guys don't. They still pay for it. These boats, some of them get great deals, some of them get crap deals. I mean, you can go listen to a lot of podcasts about, and they'll talk about that. Lee Livesey's one of them, tell you. I don't know about his new deal, but listen to some of his podcasts with Dave Mercer and him. I mean, he got the crap end of the stick on some stuff. But anyways, I mean, they still got to pay for some of this stuff, a lot of stuff. They might get better deals. They're still paying for it. So now it's going to cost them, if you really think about it, $200,000, $300,000 a year to fish an event where I think it was, I can't remember which podcast show it was. Was it Chris Aldane's show or somewhere on Dave Mercer where they were saying maybe the top 16, there's only about 16 pros that are actually making profit at the end of the year. It's 105 guys in this thing every year. And you mean to tell me only 16 are doing it? This is a whole nother topic though, but I'm just getting at the money side of it. Is it worth going in that much debt when you could just be like John Cox and maybe not even have a graph on in front and just go flip and hope you make a check? I mean, I don't know. It's crazy what sport we love and how it's growing, where it's growing. I just hope it don't push these guys out that we've all looked up to and learned from on how to fish. And I just hope it don't push them guys out, because that will be a tough day, a tough time in fishing when them guys are gone. And me personally, I know KVD was ready. I know he was ready to get out and just enjoy, I guess, not being professional all the time and traveling so much. But he's still traveling a lot. He was down in Texas a lot doing promotional stuff and all that. So, I mean, he's still fishing and all that. But, I wonder if maybe he's seen what was coming. This is just my opinion. This is not something that was talked about. I just wonder if he's seen what was coming and he's like, I'm out. I'm done with it. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just what happened. I don't know. But let's see. On the Builders, they were talking about that, the number of Elite Series guys that are actually making money. Yeah, it's really tough. And, it was always a childhood dream of mine. It was always a childhood dream of mine to be a professional fisherman. And the more that me and James have got in this industry and talked with guys and made friends with some of these guys and talked to on a regular basis sometimes and learn how this industry works. And you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, you listen to Chris Zaldane's shows, and one of the questions he asked most of these pros is, would you try to get your kid involved in it? Or would you recommend this to your kids or your grandkids? And a lot of them say no, but, there's the ones that if, like Gerald Swindle, I saw, if you really want it and all you think about is fishing and all you breathe is fishing, and you got the drive to do it, that's all well and fine. But I mean, you got to really want it to make it pro. So So BTL's talked about the same too. Yeah. It's tough. It's sad to be at an elite level. You know, like NFL at that elite level, they're making bank. Most of them are. But to be at an elite level and barely make it, you're at the top of the game and you're barely make it. I mean, a lot of us guys right now that's in this podcast show make more money than them a year. Granted, we probably got sucky jobs. We hate to go. We'd much rather be fishing. You know what I mean? But you're making more money than them. Now, the guys that got good endorsements and they're making the money off their endorsements and don't have to struggle or put second mortgages on homes and all that stuff to continue to do this stuff, we make more money than they do. Just turning wrenches or, pulling parts or IT work or whatever you guys do, writing articles. You know what I mean? It's just it's just crazy, but I think we're getting off on a different track here. But anyways, that's just where I'm at with Live Scope and forward facing. You won't hear me fuss about it no more. At least for a while anyways. You never know what comes back up. I'm not trying to get views or trying to get anything started with it. I just want to say my 2 cents about it and be done with it. I think it's here to stay. It ain't going nowhere. Let's quit. We actually made up a little thing. It said, let's do less bitching and more fishing. You know what I mean? We made a little sticker. We didn't come out. We had a logo made. We haven't come out with it yet, but, or if we do, but that was kind of our thing, man. Like, let's just fish, guys. Let's go out there and go fishing and quit fussing about everything. I mean, that's the tough part. He said, is dual scopes and 3 graphs too much for a kayak? It just depends on what you fish and what you like. I mean, if you use it and it's a good tool and it's just not something there just to say, hey, I got it, I agree 100%. Use it. If you got the money to do it, do it. I do get a kick out, and this ain't Shane, this ain't none of you other guys, this is me too, is I do get a kick out of kayaker guys. Used to talk about it all the time about bass boat guys, but now the kayaker guys are doing it. We spend all this money to go win $300 or $500 at a tournament. You know what I mean? I got $20,000 this thing, and I won $500 this week. You know what I mean? It cost me $150 or $200 to enter in this tournament, and I had another $500 in expenses. That's you know what I mean? Like, it is funny, the games we play and the gambles we do to make money, to try to win some money a little bit, to say we're number one in that event. I don't know. I just think it's funny, but I do want to say, I do want to touch base on something real quick. I fished the Rick Tilley tournament, benefit tournament. Rick Tilley was taken from us way too early, but God had a better plan for Rick. He needed him more than we did. And, but it really brought out a lot of great people. We celebrated Rick's life last weekend on Smith Mountain Lake, and not last weekend before, I'm sorry. And it was phenomenal how many people showed up, man. When I got there early so Chris could get his stuff in the boat, and maybe we could get put in the water quick, and I get there, and I mean, they're just lining up. And I'm like, Chris, we got to get put in the water. And then at blast off, just the confusion. But you know what? I wasn't even like aggravated about it, because I was like, man, this is so awesome to see so many people come out here and fish this thing and support Rick Tilley's family and stuff. They raised right at, I think, $40,000 from the GoFundMe that was started when Rick was diagnosed with cancer, to the tournament itself. And then what was cool about Chad Green and Johnny Martin and them is they donated the trophies that they won to Rick Tilley's sons, which was very emotional. Seeing Rick's dad there, I love Rick's dad. He's a super, super nice guy, and I enjoyed watching him and Rick fish tournaments together and beat our butts, in these winter tournaments and stuff when Rick was fishing them. And but to see the community come together and support this cause, and the people that Amped helped out with it, Waterland helped out with it, all these other companies too, guys that were making this or that, or the Tackle Shack up here at Smith Mountain Lake donated a lot of stuff. Some guns were raffled off, and it was just, man, it was such a cool event to be a part of. And I hope that Rick was up there just looking down, smiling, like couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? That this many people came out to support his family, kind of get emotional thinking about it. it was really cool to be a part of that. And it just shows a lot about what the community is, the fishing community, and what they do for one another. You know, when somebody's in need, or this tournament was put on before Rick passed away. Like, this has been planned for a while by Chris Brummett and Charlie Davis and Brian Carter from the Basscast. They all put this on and did a phenomenal job. Super, super proud of them guys and how it all turned out, and super proud of the community. I will say I've been fishing a lot of bass boat stuff here lately. We get more into the bass boat tournaments. Not saying we're not going to fish some more kayak stuff. I do enjoy fishing kayak stuff. I'm going to try to fish some local stuff. Maybe a month long here and there. Maybe if I feel the need to jump in, I don't know. It's kind of a little out of reach right now, I guess, the month long stuff, because I enjoy fishing these night tournaments with my daughter and my son. Like, it's just fun to get them out there and do something that I enjoy and then be a part of it. But I will say, man, and people might get pissed off at me for this, but I've talked with James and I've talked with, we had a meeting with Craig and Robert Brown the other week. We all sit down and ate dinner, and I'm telling you, man, like, people can talk about the kayak community and how how everybody's tight, you know, and and all that. Don't take this the wrong way at all, guys, but I feel like fishing the bass boat stuff was so much more like, I don't know. I can't think of the word right now, but everybody's talking, had a good time. And, you know, some of the other events I've been a part of, everybody's just out there talking and have a good time. You know, in the kayak events, man, it's always like business. You got to put in and you got to try to hurry up and get out there for everybody. And, you know, some people talk that are in that little clique, or, you know, the little buddies that all put in the same spot. But, like, you know, me and James even put in the same spot. A lot of times we're going two separate ways. So you didn't get long to talk before you could, you know, come off the bank and go. And I just felt like the camaraderie, that's the word I was looking for. Camaraderie was just so much more in the bass boat side. And, you know, even in the John boat stuff, you know, you get these small John boat tournaments going, which are big. I mean, I don't say they're small, but these John boat tournaments going at the weigh-ins, you know, you come in and you're like, oh, everybody's talking, and you get in your car and leave. You know, like, a lot of these kayak tournaments, if you didn't do good, you just load your car and you're going home. You can go to the weigh-in if you want, or the ceremony if you want. We did a couple of times supporting friends or whatever, but, you know, sometimes you get in there and you don't know a lot of these people. You know what I mean? It's these cliques. And I just feel like in the bass boat side, it's so much tighter. I don't know, but, you know, people might get pissed and say, you're a traitor, get off here. You know, like, I don't know, man. I like both sides. I enjoy fishing the kayaks and I enjoy fishing out of boats, but the bass boat side, man, it's just been fun. It's just fun getting out there and chatting with the guys and talking before the event and, you know, shooting the bull. I did miss that a lot. What is Chris Cable talking about? Having different levels would fix it. As in, what are you talking about, buddy? Having different levels of what? Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. So, well, I know what I'm talking about, but I get all over the place. So, he said back half of last year definitely was a lot different than the fun we had at Gunnersville and Hartwell. Yeah, man. I mean, I remember now that was fun. You know, when you go in and you stay, like, we fished kayak events and you stay at the house with a good group of guys, that's fun. That is a camaraderie that I do miss, you know, going to some of these kayak tournaments and stuff like that. But a lot of the events me and James fished too before last year was just, we stayed at our own place and we didn't talk to many people. You know, we tried, but either everybody was busy staying on the water way late, or, you know, you kind of run into each other and say, hey, whatever, and go on. But, like, it wasn't, I don't know. It's just different. It's just different. Pro, novice, and beginner. Yeah. I mean, it's, I think having different levels would be, yeah. I still think there's a highway between Virginia and South Carolina that got a little something special. That was Bob. That was Bob's incident. That was right there at actually Gaston, Bob, when that happened. When you dedicated that piece of property to your, I don't know, I ain't gonna go further with it. But what you did on the side of the road was, hey, man, emergencies hit. You got to do what you got to do. I ain't going to judge you, man. But But anyways, guys, I'm going to end it here. I had a good time talking with everybody. Like I say, my goal is to start doing these on Thursday nights, but Steven did remind me that the Thursday nighters are coming up in May. So we're going to run with it all the way up till May 5th, I think was when the first one. Let's see. May 9th, I think it was. May 9th is the first Thursday nighter. So I'm going to run up to that, and then maybe we'll change it to Wednesdays or something. I don't know. I got to see, because a lot of times I'm traveling on Wednesdays. But Sundays was just too tough. Couldn't do it. For all you guys that are joining us now, I couldn't do it on Sundays. So it was just getting too hard to stay consistent with it. And that's what you need in podcasting. You got to stay consistent. So, but I do appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I had a good time talking with all of y'all. I got a good guest lined up for the next one. We're going to be talking about setups. Primarily going to be Garmin. But we're going to be talking about setups. We got the Garmin Guru. He's going to be coming on. I got to set up that date. But we're definitely going to have him on. We're going to, have you guys ask some questions and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be a good show. So he'll be on next. But anyways, guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and please share this video. And, you can still comment below. I still go through and read these comments afterwards and try to answer some of the questions I can. So if you got anything you want to add to it, go ahead. But other than that, guys, I'll talk to you later. See you.